Texas House Democratic Caucus Chair Gene Wu of Houston, thank you so much, and welcome back to Eye on Politics.
Thank you.
So, first, your reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling upholding the 2025 map so that they can be used for the March primary and next year's midterm elections.
Yeah, so this, I mean, it's beyond disappointing. It's frankly enraging, because what the allegations were in the lower court were that the Republicans were using illegal racial gerrymandering in this process and to accomplish their goals. And the evidence that supported this were the Republicans' own words, words that Governor Abbott spoke on TV, the sworn statement of legislators on the House floor, and even letters written from Trump's own DOJ. They all said the same thing. And now you have a court saying, I'm not sure they really said that. Are you sure?
And one thing to your point that the majority said is they talked about the fact that there was no alternative map, that it just went right back to the 2021 map. And Justice Alito, in his concurrence, said that although the respondents, the plaintiffs' experts, could have easily produced such a map if that were possible, they did not, giving rise to a strong inference that the state's map was indeed based on partisanship, not race. How do you respond to that?
So, I mean, this is one of those decisions that we talked about when this bill was on the floor, is like, how do you interact and how do you engage in a process that should be illegal in the first place? Right? How do you join in onto their illegal actions? And if we had done that, if we had offered maps, what they would have said was, well, Democrats cooperated. Democrats offered their own maps. It must be fine if they're offering their own maps as well. This process must not be illegal. So the Supreme Court right here, in this opinion, they're cherry picking their facts, cherry picking all the things that support what they want to do, not what the law says. In Texas, we have a saying that goes, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining outside. Here, we have the Republicans' own words stating what they were doing, stating why they were doing it and how they were doing it. And the Supreme Court goes, well, have you checked outside? Have you looked outside to see if it's really raining?
The three liberal justices in their dissent said, quote, this court today announces that Texas may run next year's elections with a map on the district court found next year's elections with a map the district court found to have violated all of our oft-repeated strictures about the use of race in districting. Today's order disrespects the work of a district court that did everything one could ask to carry out its charge, that put aside every consideration except getting the issue before it right. What do you say to that?
That's exactly why everyone who is watching this so closely is so upset about this. What the Supreme Court on this ruling is not saying that the maps are okay. This is still headed to a full appeal. What they're saying is, well, I'm not sure the appellate court got all of its facts straight when the appellate court laid out all of the facts. And it's really just like, if you want to see how corrupt this Supreme Court is, that this is the Purcell doctrine that you are talking about, that they have created, that said, even if they determine that the Republicans have done wrong, they have violated the law, they have broken the rules, and they have done something they should not have done, this Supreme Court, because of what they've done, they're going to let them slide. They're going to reward them with their bad behavior. And this is the type of corruption that I think Americans are just sick of, where everyone else has to obey one set of rules, but the people in power, they get to follow their own rules.
Let me ask you, because you brought up the Purcell doctrine, and the Justice Alito here said, this court has repeatedly emphasized that lower federal courts should ordinarily not alter the election rules on the eve of an election. The district court violated that rule here. The district court improperly inserted itself into an active primary campaign, causing much confusion and upsetting the delicate federal-state balance in elections. So I'm wondering, because a lot of this timing, you all knew, everybody knew timing was an issue, because the campaigns, the filing deadline for candidates is December 8th. It starts November 8th. And here their ruling came down November 18th. And so I'm wondering, with timing being an issue, was there any, is there any, when you look back, hindsight 2020, should you have just filed an immediate challenge in August or, even before that in July instead of leaving the state and certainly making the rest of the country aware of what was going on?
Yeah, so number one, I think waking Americans up to the idea that their own country was being stolen from underneath their own feet, that was of vital importance. But let me put it this way. Do you want to say that Democrats delayed it by 2 weeks? What about the entire legislative session that the Republicans delayed it by? What about the gap between the end of the session and the beginning of the first special session? Why was there that gap? All this time, from even how long it took the appellate court to issue its ruling because of the dissent, all that ate up time. And time that Democrats did not control. Of all the time that passed during this year, Democrats controlled 2 weeks of it. For the court to say, well, it's those 2 weeks that are in question. You know the game is rigged. You know that this is corrupt.
They didn't cite those 2 weeks. I was just asking a question,
But I think that's an argument that's being made by the Republicans in their filings.
Okay. And so let me just ask you impact, because obviously this impacts congressional Democrats all throughout the state. Certainly we've seen that up in our area, but your area as well, down in Houston. Talk to me about that.
Well, look, the absurdity of saying, well, you're messing with stuff near the deadline. We push back deadlines all the time. In fact, my first election was the year we redistricted like 4 or 5 times. They pushed the primary back to May. This happens all the time. Random elections are set up all the time. It's not that big of a deal. But to use this as the reason why is it's the fix is in. They're trying to tell you that. And look, however this affects races is however it affects races. What is more important to all of us is that our democracy functions. If the Supreme Court is saying one side has to play by the rules, the other side can do whatever it wants, there's no democracy left.
And so let me ask you, do you see more mid-decade redistricting coming up? I mean, this was done for the first time. Do you see more of this happening in the future?
And what I have said from the beginning is that if the Republicans are allowed to do this in Texas, it will spread like wildfire across this nation. And whether you're in a blue state or a red state, every state will be forced to do this. And every state, whether it's bad for liberals, bad for conservatives, because nobody wants to be shut out from their own electorate. No one wants to be shut out from their democratic system. This is bad. But right now, Democrats in blue states have no choice. They have to fight fire with fire. If they're going to try to steal our country, we have to use every tool available to fight back.
Texas House Democratic Caucus Chairman Gene Wu of Houston, thank you so much. We appreciate it.